Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Well. It looks like Donald Trump, your president, has finally turned on Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. I ain't got no problem with that. That's the headline, fam. Yeah. ICE Barbie on thin ice with Trump and Miller over Bovino miscalculation. President Donald Trump's senior leadership team is blaming Kristi Noem for their nightmare in Minneapolis after they say her incompetence as Homeland Security Secretary paved the way for Saturday's shooting for yet another U.S. citizen. At the heart of their frustrations is Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, Noem's commander-at-large, whom she chose to serve as the public face of the president's immigration blitz. Bovino had repeatedly raised eyebrows with his aggressive tactics even before members of his green machine were filmed on Saturday, throwing 37-year-old VA nurse Alex Pretti to the ground and unloading bullets into him, horrifying the U.S. public. Polls suggest voters were already weary of seeing Bovino's masked and armed federal agents marauding around the country, violently detaining people, including children, and brutalizing demonstrators. The public blowback saw Trump send his border czar, Tom Homan, to the city on Monday to oversee on-the-ground immigration enforcement operations, in a move widely seen as a snub to Homeland Security Secretary Noem. It comes after well-placed DHS sources told the Daily Beast that both the president's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and his immigration policy lead, Stephen Miller, have fully turned against Noem and her chief advisor and rumored lover, Corey Lewandowski. According to two senior officials, Miller is furious that Bovino and his hardcore turn and burn tactics were chosen to become the focal point of the nationwide blitz. No honor among thieves, fam. That's how it goes. No honor among thieves. The woman did a press conference and just lied to the world. Right there in everybody's face, just lied. We saw the video of the man get gunned down. We saw the video of ICE accost the man, push him to the ground, beat him up, take his gun away from him, and then shoot him. We saw that. It's clear. The video footage is not obstructed. It's not blurred. It's not grainy. We saw it in 4K. But she tells us, oh, he pursued the officers and he did this with his gun and he intended to apply maximum damage. Just straight up lying to the people, just lying straight to the people's face. How can you trust that type of administration? See, they're worried about how it looks as opposed to how it is, right? The administration is completely missing the point. It's not about how the brutality looks in the media that should be driving their decisions. They need to consider the mission in totality. They need to consider the mission in the first place. Setting an arbitrary quota for deportations guarantees abuses. Just like when you set quotas for law enforcement in the streets of America, in every city, every town. When they set those quotas, it automatically invites abuse. Setting those arbitrary quotas automatically invites abuse. They know, oh, look, I gotta get 20 tickets a day, and I'm one more ticket short, and I gotta get out of here, and I gotta go home right now. I gotta get on up out of here, man. I want to stop by this little chick house before I return the car. So let me pull somebody over. Let me give me a quick ticket right quick. Choo! Let me see. Ooh, fat damn, I got 3 out of that one stop. You're just looking for stuff. You see? Policing for profit. That's why people are always on the edge. And when you talk about policing for profit, you notice that they target areas where people are already struggling to make ends meet. They're going into the poorest neighborhoods and they're targeting people all day long, just writing tickets. It is the poor neighborhoods oftentimes in these cities, especially these metropolitan cities like the one I'm in, Houston, that drives revenue for city and state officials. It is that policing for profit. Those tickets and those court fees, that commissary, those phone calls, that internet usage, all of that is all money. Paying the lawyers. Look, fam, it's one big old hustle, you ask me. I think the abusers are, as they say, a feature, not a bug. See, they trying to make it seem like, oh, this is something that don't happen often. Nah, fam, I think this is a feature of this ICE organization. That's a feature. Abuse is a feature. It ain't a bug. I expect that they were hoping either their agents would be slightly more subtle about it or that protesters would reach a breaking point. Well, the protesters have not reached the breaking point. They're still protesting. Maybe they wanted them to react violently so that they could justify the crackdown. And that, I do think, is a plausible narrative. They wanted them to act wild and be chaotic so that they could justify their need to be there. But they didn't plan on killing 2 innocent people. They couldn't have killed 2 more innocent people. You got one person who was trying to drive away, and you got another person with his back turned, trying to protect someone else, trying to protect another person, trying to protect a woman, a man trying to protect a woman from falling on the ground, trying to help her. And they tackle him and shoot him. I would recommend that they start looking like they are retreating and actually retreat on this effort, because it's not working out. But I don't think that they're going to disband ICE. I think Trump likes the force that ICE comes with. I think he likes the idea of that force. And I know Bovino I know he loves it, because he think he one of Adolf Hitler's soldiers or something. He tried to dress like him and everything. So they're all getting a kick out of this power trip. All of them. They're on a power trip. And that's what this is about, trying to make people bend to their will. Now they're talking about telling the governor of Minnesota to get off those voting rolls, get off your voter rolls, and we'll leave. We'll stop the killing. Yeah, fam. This is what's happening. If Congress had done their job and not approved people who were unqualified, who were incompetent, If they had done that in the first place, we wouldn't have this situation. If ICE was a respectable agency, and they were going in, making an arrest, and making these arrests in a human way, I don't think you would have all of this pushback the way you're having it. Because remember, that was presidents that did a whole lot of deporting before him. And hell, we didn't even hardly see the deportations. They barely even advertised it. But Trump wanted to advertise it. He wanted to make a big deal of it because he ran on that platform. Yo, I'm going to immigrate. I'm going to deport day one. So he wanted to do it. And that's why they're out there with those cameras. You know that they're paying social media influencers to film their every move. They're giving these guys money. That's why you see, when you see these ICE agents, you'll see people jump out with cameras. They're filming it, you know, as if they're trying to make a movie or something. They're like really, really getting into this whole Nazi type rhythm. So, of course, Trump and Miller are putting the blame on others. They all should be held accountable. But you know how Trump do it. If it goes bad, it's somebody else's fault. If it goes good, it's his praise. He's never, ever, ever going to take accountability for anything. He's never have. Not in his first term, and definitely not in his second term. So you get what you get. He's giving America exactly what America voted for or didn't vote for. No more talk.